your symptoms are telling me you're at the last stage of endometriosis. You need surgery. Yo! My heart, when I tell you, my heart sank. My heart fell to the ground. I started crying. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Endo Diaries. Hope you're all keeping well. For today's video, as you can see by the title of the video, I will be giving you a story time of my experience with endometriosis prior to me being diagnosed, what happened during the time I was given my diagnosis, and what's going on currently post-diagnosis, which is my reality right now. So I'll start off at the very beginning, which is in high school. So conditions like endometriosis start around puberty, and I think for most girls puberty does start around, I don't know, like 12, 13. So I was 13 in grade 8. That's when I started my first period. And now that I think about it, my experience with my period was never pleasant. The only thing that kept me going was the fact that my period was never regular. So even through the unpleasantness, it wasn't like a constant thing every single month, because the period didn't come every single month. But I had, straight off the bat, from day one. Not from day one. When I first got my period in grade 8, there was no pain. And my older sister was like, she asked me, she was like, are you not feeling any discomfort or any cramping or anything? And I was like, no, I'm okay. And she was like, you're lucky, because normally when you get your first period and it's accompanied by a lot of pain, it's an indication that you will have like terrible period pains. And I was like, oh great, man, that's one problem. Life was really difficult enough to be dealing with that. I was wrong. So yeah, so the first period wasn't hectic, but then the periods that came after were like they were intense. I would get intense period pains. I think I've been very painkillers are not something that they're not new to me. By that I mean I've been taking them since I was 13, so it's been quite a while. And it's, now that I think about it, knowing what I know about endometriosis, it's not normal to have excruciating period pains that prevent you from going to school or prevent you from just living your life. Okay, so back to the story. Now I'm getting these hectic period pains, and then I would take Gen pain. I will show you a picture either here or here, but yeah. And so I would take Gen pain for the pain, but like I said, my period was never like constant. It wasn't regular, so I wouldn't have to take the painkillers every single month, because like I said, the period wouldn't come every single month. Okay, great. Now fast forward to a couple of years as a teenager, a couple of years in high school. The period pains start being accompanied by pelvic pain. Now, at the time, I was not aware, I didn't have the vocabulary to name this pain, but now that I do, I know that it's pelvic pain. I thought it was abdominal because it would occur in the abdominal region. And I didn't know what to do. I just take the Gen pain, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. I think it depends on the level of intensity, because it's never the same, and also what's going on. What are you thinking about? Are you stressed? What are your hormones looking like at the time? And I didn't want to be reliant on painkillers, because the thing is, with painkillers, the more you take them, the more you develop like a tolerance to them. So for example, if I take Nurofen has been branded to be a strong painkiller, but the more you would take it, your body becomes used to it and it stops working, and now you have to go for a different painkiller with a higher dosage, and then just like that you move on. You just keep moving up the hierarchy of painkillers, and that's not how to live. And of course, if you run through all of the painkillers that you could get over the counter at a pharmacy, you now have to get a prescription for a different type of painkiller, which is what I'm currently taking. So I mean, with endometriosis, I'm just trying to get you into my headspace in terms of like what the pain tolerance looks like and how you move around these different kinds of painkillers just for normalcy. Okay, back to my story. Guys, I'm not the greatest storyteller, so I'll be breaking in between just to explain certain things, and my mind is just like all over the place right now, because it's very emotional. It's something that's been happening throughout the years, so I'm just trying to piece my thoughts together, so please bear with me. Right, okay, so like I said, the period pains are accompanied by abdominal pain. abdominal pain at the time, but it's actually pelvic pain. I remember a day in grade 11 where I used to walk to school. And so I woke up, had the most excruciating pain, and I had to go to school. And I just didn't, like I said, I didn't want to be too reliant on painkillers, so I didn't take anything. And my mother at the time didn't understand what was going on, because I would always like say, no, it's a period pain, or no, I just feel a pain in my abdomen. And so I think I might have negated my experience because I didn't have the vocabulary to describe what was going on. Great. So I went to school, and I remember one of my friends looked at me and she was like, are you okay? I'm not the type of person who carries my pain like for people to see. So if I'm going through something, whether emotionally or physically, I don't like people to look at me and see it. So the fact that she was just able to look at me once and see Kurinomen, something's off. It just means that we had progressed, like I said, in terms of the level of pain that comes with conditions such as endometriosis, right? So I was like, no, I have abdominal pain. And she was like, oh, that sucks. I hope you get better. And I'm telling you this story because it's something that really stands out. And every time I think back to how long I've experienced endometriosis, I think back to that specific time. It's been years now. So yeah, it's a lot. Okay, and then we're out of high school, and the pelvic pain just keeps persisting. It's persisting. Luckily, we were like learning online when I got to varsity for a bit. We were learning online, so I was at home for majority of the time. And so I remember just lying in bed with a hot water bottle. Listen, if you have endometriosis, you know the hot water bottle is your friend. And so I would just lay in bed with a hot water bottle, painkillers on my side table thingy, and I did not know what to do. I would sleep on it. It's like throughout the night, you're trying to find a comfortable position to sleep in, but you're also trying to find a way to accommodate the hot water bottle so that it does what it does. Because for me, I feel as though the heat, just like people who experience period pains know that the heat, it just makes things better. I don't know how it works scientifically, but it just alleviates the pain so much. Okay, so I'm trying to sleep on the hot water bottle. I know, don't come for me. It's not advisable, but hey, I'm trying to sleep on it. I'm trying to position it in a way that will help me sleep better, and also that will deal with the pain. So I remember so many moments during my first year where I was doing that. I didn't know what was going on, and I was moving away from painkillers because I saw, man, I'm taking them a lot, and I don't have the financial means to go to see a gynae or a doctor and get a prescription for a higher dosage of painkillers. So trust and believe, if I'm gonna be taking Nurofen, I have to make sure that, in my head I was thinking, I have to make sure that I expand the period in which I'll be able to take the Nurofen for. So I can't get tolerant to Nurofen too quickly. I can't get used to it too quickly. My body can't do that. So I know I sometimes be in pain and I wouldn't take the painkillers. I'd sometimes be in pain and I take one instead of the two or whatever. So yeah. Now, the pain is getting a little bit too much. It's happening a little bit too frequently. It's preventing me from living. And like I said, endometriosis prevents you from living your best life. It affects your quality of life so much. So you will be stuck in bed, paralyzed with pain, unable to go out and participate and do daily activities and just live your life because of this pain. It's so constant, and it's like when it hits you, it's like you're done. You're just there and you can't do anything about it. And I was like, no, man, this is happening too frequently. In high school, it would happen here and there, not too often. But now it's escalating. It's happening more frequently. And then I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag. We have to sort this out. And so at home, we don't visit doctors. We're not that family. Like, we don't get sick. And we also don't do like checkups. My mom she's not that girl. So it's just something that hasn't been like visiting a doctor's when you're really sick. And so we also, at the time, we didn't have medical aid. So then I'm like, okay, I spoke to my mom. I'm like, hey girl, 1 + 1 is not 2 in this equation, honey. Things are not adding up. I'm experiencing this pain frequently. I don't know what to do. And like, if it's online learning and the lecture's at 8, you have to be there at 8 and you need to be participating. So if I can't even get out of bed, now my studies are falling back. It's just like, how am I, you know what I'm saying? Like, how am I going to live? It was not viable. It was not working, especially as a full-time student. Okay, so I spoke to my mom and she was like, okay, so she had a gynae. When she was pregnant with me, she had several complications. So she developed a really good relationship with her gynae at the time. And she was like, okay, I know this guy. I trust him. He did the most for me. Let me take you to him. The only problem was that this man was like out of service because he was like he got sick a couple of years ago, so he wasn't practicing. And so he found someone to keep his office or operational, to keep it open while he was at home trying to recover. So like this doctor was practicing under his practice but using his own name, right? So stay with me. And then we went to see him, and he wasn't there. He wasn't there, and it was so like we got there and there was a sign. He was like, oh my, these are my times, and we were there during those specific times, and he wasn't there. So we were like, okay, plan B. We just found a different gynae in the same building. So those of you that my black people know, if you know Lister Building, you know what's going on. I think no one knows. You can't live in Joburg and not know Lister Building. Lister Building is like a medical center in town, CBD, and you can go there for anything. You can see a gynae, a dentist, a GP, whatever it is that you will, and they're quite affordable. And because we didn't have a medical aid, those doctors are not fussy with the whole medical aid thing. They just take cash and it's okay. We're good to go. So we just found an alternative. We found this other man. Okay, I'm not ageist in any way or form or shape or capacity. I am not ageist, but this was an old man, and I say I'm not ageist because of what I'm gonna say in a few minutes. So this man looked like he was probably in maybe mid-60s, early 70s. He was old. I always ask myself, good, why is he still doing this work? Because, damn. And so he was old, but I had faith, good, okay, this person has been practicing for a long time. Surely experience and expertise go hand in hand when it comes to a field like medicine. So the more you do something, the more, even if it's not medicine, like I think teachers who are seasoned and who've had like 20-year careers know more than someone who just graduated. You know what I'm saying? So I had faith that, okay, this man knows what's going on. He knows this chat. He's going to look at me, ask me maybe a couple of questions, and he's going to know what's going on, right? Now, remember, this is before I knew what endometriosis was. It was before I knew I had the condition. I didn't know what was going on in my body. I just had a fear that I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong. And I remember before this visit, the night before the visit, I called one of my friends, and I was like, bro, I'm not okay. I had like a mini emotional breakdown. I'm like, what if I can't have kids? What's going on with me? What if I've delayed the process of visiting a gynae and things have gone wrong and I can't fix it? I'm so young. I'm too young for all of this. And I was worried. So I'm going into this practice very worried. And I'm going into this practice very anxious. And also, one thing about the listed building doctors, they take their sweet time. The practice will open at 9 or something, and they'll get there like 11, shaking whatever it is that needs to be shaken, whatever, shook, whatever, doing the most, walking in there like they own the place. They do, but come on, bro, like that's the last thing you need. The last thing you need. I didn't sleep because I was thinking about what this person is going to tell me. Then I have to get there early and wait for you to tell me what. Fine. Okay, so he comes in and then he asks me questions, and then I'm telling him. So I took Oratane in high school. In the last year of high school, I took Oratane because I had like terrible acne. And so he asked me if I'm still on Oratane, and I was like, no. So the reason why he asked is because you can't take Oratane if you're pregnant, because it does cause birth defects, and you can't fall pregnant within a specific period after you're done taking the Oratane. So if you're taking it for a period of 6 months, give yourself maybe 6 or 3 more months to not fall pregnant, because you don't want that. And so I was like, no, I'm not on Oratane. He asked me a couple of questions. When did you start experiencing the pain? And I told him. And then he asked me if like I have frequent urination, and I said yes, but it wasn't as frequent as it is now. But I'll get to that in another video or something. And then he asked the questions, and he was like, no, baby, you, my dear, have a hormonal imbalance. And then he took out this, when doctors bring out the vagina, the whole that system thing. It's like the thing you would see in a textbook. He brought it out. It was like in physical form. I think that's what they use to like show you what's going on. this is not the right term, but I'm just trying to, I don't know what the thing is called, but you can just imagine it. And it was like showing me, pinpointing, okay, so these are your fallopian tubes, this is this, this is that, this is that. So you have a hormonal imbalance. So your reproductive system is not operating on a normal level. It's like operates doing the most. And so when it does that, it's operating at a higher rate than it should. It's causing you a lot of discomfort, hence the pain. And then he prescribed, wait for it, contraceptives. My thing is, when it comes to South Africa, not even South Africa, when it comes to issues related to women, black women especially, I don't know. The first thing that doctors think of doing is prescribing a contraceptive. They don't think about the side effects. They don't think about your affordability. They don't even think of how it's going to affect your body if we're looking at this in conjunction with other conditions you could be battling. They don't. He just I think the contraceptive was called Yasmin. He just prescribed that, and I was like, how hectic is the dosage? And he was like, no, it's like entry level. Sharp. I think I took Yasmin for 3 months. I had never been on contraceptives prior to that time, so my body was fresh and it was ready to it was ready to react, because they were, apart from painkillers, my body wasn't used to pumping medicine and chemicals and all of that. And it's so strange because he said I have a hormonal imbalance, and the contraceptives will help. The contraceptives will help balance out the imbalance. Does that make sense? To some degree it does, but how are they managing that? How are they, like, how do you know that it's not gonna increase the imbalance? Or like, how are they managing that change? Or how are they ensuring that after a certain time you are balanced? You know? So at that time I didn't know enough to ask those questions. I just wanted a solution. And as he was speaking, it made sense. And I'm like, this old man, he probably knows what he's doing because he's an old man. He's seasoned. He's been doing this for even before I was born. Even before my mom was born, I'm sure. And so I took the prescription. I got Yasmin. I was on it for 3 months. And when I tell you, the side effects played me. And I say the side effects, they actually didn't play me. They were ready for me. It was a battle. Ding, ding, ding. It was me against the side effects. We're talking nausea. We're talking back pain. My mental health wasn't great in high school. Sharp. But I was improving it, right? So I was at a stage where I was okay. And of course, the pain really shifted my mental health a little bit. So I wasn't always happy. I was just dealing with a lot. Sharp. And then that Yasmin, my mental health sunk. Like plummeted, like the what's this, what was that, the crash, the 1929, the Great Depression of America. That was what it was. My mental health went to shit. It sunk. I was depressed. I was sad. I didn't know what was going on. My body was going through the most because now I'm battling with the pain and also the side effects. I don't know if it's a placebo effect, but when I was taking the contraceptives, the pain just a little bit, it improved. So like it wasn't as constant. The hot water bottle, I could leave her in the corner for some nights, you know. The painkillers, they started to gather a little bit of dust on the boxes because I wasn't reaching for them every 2 minutes, I mean. Okay, so then I started taking the contraceptives. The 3 months ended. I went back to him because he was like, come back. And then when I get there, he doesn't remember me. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, I'm not ageist, because I'm like, this old man, he doesn't remember me. He opens my file and he was like, are you still taking Artane? And I'm like, bro, we spoke about this in the last appointment. How can you not remember that I said I don't take Artane? I haven't taken it for like 3 years. Okay. And then he was like asking me the same questions he asked me the other time. And I was like, I'm not here for this. I came the last time. You prescribed the contraceptives. I took them. I'm here to give you a progress report, as you said I should do. And he was looking at me, and I could see in his eyes that he was in a state of oblivion because he didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, he didn't remember me. And I was gutted because I was like, damn. What is going on? And then I was like, you know what, whatever. It is what it is. I'm better now. Let's just dip. So my mom and I left, and then that was that. And then it was business as usual. No one really talks about the aftermath of taking contraceptives. I was off of them, but I was still going through the side effects. My body was still reacting. I think the hormonal imbalance got worse because I probably stopped taking them too soon, or it wasn't the right kind of contraceptive, or I wasn't even supposed to be on contraceptives in the first place. This goes back to what I was saying about the medical health, the healthcare system, and how it just like if it's not gaslighting women, it is negating your experience, or it's just putting you on a contraceptive hoping that the pain will go away. Like it's like a band-aid, like a bandage, putting that on top of your problem and hoping that it goes away, and it doesn't, and it didn't. Then the pain came back 100-fold, like this. It was like I got struck by lightning. I collapsed. I was on the ground, not physically, but like that's how it felt. The pain that I had experienced that had led me to the gynae just like was like 100 times worse. And now I'm just panicking. I don't know what to do. And I was like to my mom, this man didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. And even when even during the first checkup, he was busy. Like he was really up my vagina with that, what's that thing called? The thing they use, when you're pregnant and there's a scan. He used that. And then there was also there's the camera to see what's going on. That was like not like physically up my vagina, but he was really inspecting, and that was quite uncomfortable, and I was traumatized. So I didn't want to go back to that man who was going to be doing that again for nothing, because it's one thing to go through an uncomfortable experience and gain something out of it in the way of a solution or progress, but that didn't happen. Okay, so then moving on to the second gynae. So I spoke to my mom. I was like, it's not working. Let's try that gynae again. Maybe he's gonna be more available this time and we'll be lucky. We went to see him. He was young. I couldn't see his face because of masks, but I could see that, okay. And then I was hopeful because I was like, okay, is he much younger than the first one? He knows what he's talking about. He's very friendly. He gave me his number. He was like, if you need anything, just tell me. And then the question was, okay, before the question, he didn't even have to do a check. He asked me what my symptoms were. I told him, just like the first gynae had done, gynae A, so this is gynae B, we'll call him that. And then I told him what my symptoms were. I told him what I was going through. And he was like, oh, yeah, endometriosis. Just like that. I was impressed. I was like, this man didn't have to touch me. He didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to make me feel uncomfortable with all of those medical apparatus and all of that. And I was like, wow, this man knows what he's doing. Okay, then he was like, Shoma, do you have medical aid? And I was like, no. And he was like, no, it's fine. You can just like use cash. But yeah, like I said, here's my number. Contact me if you need anything. So when you have endometriosis, you have to have a really close relationship with your gynae. To the point where I can text my gynae at like 12. Oh, no, okay, not 12. That's not that extreme. Like 3 a.m. and be like, hey, I can't sleep. I took the painkillers. I did this, I did that. What should I do now? And she should be able to respond. So the first... Also keep track of the gender of your gynae. I'm not sexist or anything, but I'm just saying I think it would be easier for you to, as a woman, to have a female gynae, just because, I don't know, the empathy, the understanding of how the healthcare system works and things like that. It's like having a doctor who's a person of color. If you're a person of color, it just makes your experience more palatable. Okay, and then I was like, I don't have medical aid. Then I was like, okay, it's okay, that's fine. Then he was like, okay, you have endometriosis. And then he prescribed Ponstan. Is it Ponstan? If I have a picture, I'll put it somewhere here. And then he was like, you should take this for 6 months. I was like, okay, what is it going to do? And he was like, no, it's just going to help you. Take it the way you would take a painkiller. I'm like, damn, the admin of that again. Because with not a painkiller, take it the way you would take a contraceptive. So the admin of taking contraceptives is hell, because you have to take them at the same time. Like the same idea. It's just that you're not trying to prevent a pregnancy. You're just trying to prevent a flare-up of pain. And you're not trying to, you're trying to be consistent in how your body is adjusting to the medication and things like that. That makes sense, right? I think so. Okay, and then we leave. I have this prescription. I'm taking Ponstan. It's not even expensive. I don't remember how expensive Yasmin was, but I think it was like 100 and something. And then Ponston was probably like 200 and not even like less than 230. And then I took Ponston, didn't work. Month after month after month, I'm taking it in between school. I hated it. I really I hate taking pills at a specific time. But hey. And then I texted him after taking the Ponston. I was like, hey, I'm done with the Ponston. Now what? Because he was like, after this, you don't have to come for another consultation because you clearly don't have the money. Just text me and I'll tell you what to do. I was like, okay, great. Oh wow, this man is a lifesaver. He's God sent. Oh wow, he understands my situation. I was like, oh my gosh, I romanticized the entire experience. Oh, this man is gonna be the guy that I use when I have my kids. I'm gonna be like my mom. I'm gonna have this guy since, and it's gonna be amazing. And then no, that's not what happened. I texted the man. It was December. I was like, hey, I'm done with my thingy. What should I do now? Zist. He missed me. He missed my message and I was like, okay, fine. And then I come back maybe 2 weeks later. Hey, dog, it's me again. Wada, wada, wada. What should I do? I think I sent him 3 messages at different intervals. Or at different, with like gaps in between, just in case he was busy, because these people do get busy, and he didn't get back to me. He missed me, and it was just, that was the end of that. That was that. And I was like, the same position I was in when after Gynae A fucked up my life, essentially, it was the same position I was in with Gynae B. And I'm like, no man. What? What's going on? What's happening? And I was despondent, to say the least. I was heartbroken. I was just like, the system is failing me. What's going on? Does God not want me to get better? Okay, now I know what's going on, but the magnitude of this, God, this is too heavy for me. I can't do this. And on top of that, I'm battling with an incompetent gynae. And I didn't know what to do, so I just took a break. I wasn't taking the Ponston because, of course, my prescription had expired. I went back to taking painkillers, so I was taking Nurofen. I have this box where I keep all my painkillers and my medication in general. And I had like 5, 6 of them, like a lot of these Nurofens. I ran through all of them. They taste nice, but that's not the reason why I ran through them. But it's because you take one, it doesn't work, then you take 2, and then the next time you're taking them frequently, you're taking them. I was like basically a pill popper. I felt like a junkie. I'm sorry to say, I know it's not the best word to use, but I just felt like, damn, what has my life come to? And then the Nurofen stopped working. And I went to the gynae. I went to the pharmacy. I was like, hey, I've been taking Nurofens, they're not working. And the woman there looked at me like, huh? A lot of people say Nurofen doesn't work, but I feel as though like, damn. For me, like, it was like eating a mint. You know, the pink ones, it's the period pain Nurofens that I'm talking about. They stopped working, and then she prescribed some other pain medication. I didn't run through that as quickly because after that I discovered my current gynae, who is Dr. Gynae. She's Dr. Gynae on Instagram, but she's Dr. Zenda. That's her government name. And I remember I was just scrolling through Instagram. I wasn't even looking for a gynae. At that point, I was burnt out because nobody talks about how going from session to session or consultation to consultation, it exhausts you, especially when you're not getting what you're used to. The abuse of the medical health system, it just tires you out. And by abuse, I'm talking about like not being paid attention to, being forgotten, having your experiences negated, or having them just like made minuscule in the most terrible ways. And so I was tired, I was burnt out. I had been so sick of that building, Leicester building. I had been so sick of pills. I had been so sick of explaining what's going on, and I was just like, I was on a break. Okay, I need some water. I've been talking. Excuse me. Okay. And then, like I said, I discovered Dr. Zenda. I saw her Instagram. I was like, this is the woman for me. That's what's up. And then I checked where her offices were, and it wrote, I was at Sunninghill. Yeah. Mind you, my mom is a single parent. So I already took her to 2 gynaes, and she had to cough out money that she didn't have to pay for the consultations, to also pay for the medication. So I felt so bad. I was like, damn, I'm dragging her all the way to Santon. You know how expensive things are in Santon. But I was out of options, so I booked the appointment and then we went, and I spoke to Dr. Zenda. This is the third gynae. I hope you're keeping track. And I'll explain. The first guy put me on contraceptives. The second one put me on Ponston, and she was like, Ponston. I was like, yeah. And she was like, that's just like a basic painkiller. And I'm like, fucking hell. This guy made me take painkillers religiously like a contraceptive. For what? And she was like, I'm sorry you went through that. It's endometriosis. I was like, and she was like, what are your symptoms? So at this stage, it's been like a year and a half, I'm sure, and my symptoms have escalated. So if it's pelvic pain, it went from a 5 to an 8. I had started having burns on my stomach because of the frequency at which I would use a hot water bottle. And remember, it needs to be hot for me. It needs to be hot so that I feel as though it's working. And then she was like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Your symptoms are telling me you're at the last stage of endometriosis. You need surgery. Yeah. My heart, when I tell you my heart sank, my heart fell to the ground. I started crying. I was like, what? The past 2 years have been hell. I can't even begin to describe. And I'm good with words. I couldn't even put a word to that experience. And she was like, yeah. And she gave me a tissue and she was like, yeah, girl, I'm so sorry. And my whole experience at the gynae practices was just terrible. I remember sitting in that office prior to going to Dr. Zenda's office, sitting in the waiting room. And she's a gynae and an OBGYN. So she deals with babies. So a lot of pregnant women are coming in and out of her office. And so I was sitting there and I was getting these looks. Like, these women are looking at me like, what, is she pregnant? What is she doing here? Like, and I had never imagined I'd sit in the waiting room of a gynae's office. Was it an office? I never thought I'd sit in the waiting room of a gynae's practice if not for pregnancy. I had envisioned in my mind that I'd be sitting there with my partner years later, pregnant, because I'm closer to the delivery day or something that's unrelated to endometriosis, especially at my age. And I remember I was ashamed. I was like, God, why am I here? Why are you putting me in such uncomfortable situations on top of everything that I'm going through? And I was just like, oh. And then that coupled with the news that I have to get surgery, my life just came crashing down. I was like, no, I'm too young. I have a banging body. Now I have to walk around with these scars. I have scars, but I don't have a child. Why is this? I felt as though I'd be like, women who have children and then they lose their children, or maybe it's they give birth to a stillborn and now you have to walk around with these scars. And where's the result? Like, okay, you have these scars, but from what? You can't even point to what came out of you. And then I felt like that. I felt I would be like that, walking around with these scars. I'm young. I still want to go to the beach. I still want to have, guys, please excuse the noise. It's a lot is going on in this house, but yeah. And I was just like, damn, is that going to be my life? And surgery. And I'm thinking, when am I going to have surgery? I'm a full-time student. I don't have gaps in the year. A lot is going on in my head. And also, I'd been doing research on endometriosis, but it wasn't in depth. It's just to know, okay, what are the symptoms? And then I started to follow pages on accounts on Instagram, like the Endospace. I think the Endospace. And a couple of others, I'm forgetting the names, but they all start with Endo. And then I was like, the information that I've gathered is not even enough to comfort me. And she was like, yeah, there's no cure. I knew that there was no cure. She was like, the only solution is surgery, because at this point where you're at, she said I need to get laparoscopic surgery where they go into your abdomen and they burn out the endometriosis, because endometriosis is like a growth. So the growth is happening constantly outside of where it should normally be, and so that's what's causing that discomfort, right? So they need to burn the endometriosis growth. And then so you start off on a clean slate where there's nothing growing, but it will grow back because it's a lifelong thing and it doesn't have a cure. But for that period they burn it out and you're okay, and you have at least 2 to 3 years of a life where you can feel normal and be normal and have normal practices and not rely as much on painkillers and stuff. And so she was like, okay, that's the option. And I just remember, damn, I'm very extroverted. I speak a lot. I'm that girl. I'm always laughing. I'm there, you know. And I just remember for the week after my diagnosis, I got into a dark place where I retrieved. Is it? I retreated. I retrieved. I don't know, but I went into myself. I got back into myself, and I kept it to myself. I wasn't talking to my friends. I wasn't going out as much. I was just trying to understand what this thing is. I found it really difficult to talk to God because I was like, why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? Why would you give me this? This is such a heavy burden to carry. And like I said, my mom and my younger sister didn't understand what was going on. And my mom is, I don't know, I think she's afraid of like doing the research and finding out the magnitude of this thing. But then I threw myself into research. I tried to understand what's going on, how to live life, how to live with the condition essentially. And I just took it one day at a time, and I was like, you know what, if it's surgery that I need to get, I'll get it as soon as I can, as soon as I have the time. And then we got the medical aid, because you can't just like, the magnitude of that surgery financially would kill you without a medical aid plan or whatever. And then so we got that. But there were also issues around medical aid because, like I said, my mom is a single parent, so it was a thing of trying to find the most affordable, but that would cover me in many ways. And she was also like, how can you not have a medical aid? Someone like you with endo should have a medical aid. And I was like, girl, I don't have it. I can't afford to be sick. I'm one of those people who cannot afford to be sick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Excuse me. And she got it because she's also a mother. And so I think also that's why I said I'm happy with a female gynecologist, because she understands the struggles, the nuances, the things in between. And then she put me on Vizan. Changed my life. Changed my life. But for some time, while you're still taking it. I mean, it also has its side effects, which are really crazy, and I'm still like struggling with them currently. I've been on Vizan. I started taking it, I think my gynae appointment was on the 26th of August last year. And we're approaching a year now. Yeah, we're approaching a year with me taking Vizan. It's been a roller coaster, so many ups and downs, but it works. I remember the first, I think 3-4 months of taking Vizan, my symptoms diminished. I felt normal. I felt like I can do this. I felt like, okay, we're getting somewhere, and I was happy. And then of course the side effects started like rearing their ugly heads, but that's the story for another day. I'll talk about this in another video. But yeah, and yeah, I've been taking Vizan for that long. It has its ups and downs, but it's working. It's not like Yasmin. It's not like Ponston. It's not like those things that the gynaes were prescribing. My gynae understands me. She understands what I'm going through, and the fact that I'm so young, she has met that with such grace and patience, and her responses have been immediate. I have her number. I can call her up anytime, and yeah. So that's my diagnosis story. That's what happened prior to me being diagnosed. Currently, last year when I was writing my final exams, my period wouldn't stop. So like I said, my period has never been regular, and prior to the exam period around November, I wasn't on my period for like 4 months. I didn't get my period, for 4 months, and then it came back, and then it didn't stop. And I was able to reach out to my gynae And she was like, oh, why didn't you tell me sooner? We could have stopped this. And I was so used to being ignored. And she was like, I'm never going to ignore you. And I just felt that, like, to be so affirming. And it felt like a hug. It felt like an embrace. I think the biggest thing with living with endometriosis is support. You need support from your friends, your family, from your partner, from your gynae, from everyone in your life. And I'm taking it day by day. Some days are harder than others. The days are never the same. But I have friends who constantly check in on me and are like, how's today? How are you feeling today? How's the pain? How's the back pain? Any flares? And because I've been doing research and I'm actively trying to enhance my quality of life living with endometriosis, I know how to handle things like flares, which I'll explain in the next video. Things like flares, what to eat, what not to eat, what to do. There's certain things that I lean on when I'm having a flare, and because of how unexpected flares are, they just come at you just like that. I know how to respond. I'm in a better position to help myself even if I'm not at home. I know what to do, and I think that could not have been possible without a good diagnosis. The second gynae was trash, but at least he gave me like an entry point. He put me on the right track in terms of thinking about what's going on with my body and knowing what the problem is. So thank God for that. The experience wasn't totally a nightmare, but it didn't have to get to that. I didn't have to visit 3 gynaes before I get a solution. I didn't have to go up and down drinking all of these things that possibly even aggravated the endometriosis without me even realizing it. So that's why I'm an advocate for female reproductive issues and good healthcare personnel who know what they're doing, who won't give you the runaround, who won't gaslight you, who will speak to you like you know what's going on with your body. I can't say I'm having this pain and you're just gonna negate it to menstrual pain and tell me that a lot of women are going through that. That's bullshit. So yeah, so if you can, I'd really encourage you to get a diagnosis. Go and see a gynae. Go and see a doctor whom you trust. Go and speak about your symptoms. Advocate for yourself, no matter how many times you have to explain and correct them and tell them that this is this, it's not actually that. Do that. And I think I was scared to get diagnosed because I was scared to hear what would come with the diagnosis. So I was scared of knowing what's wrong, but I think knowing what's wrong has helped me like position myself in ways that would accommodate this condition just to make my life easier. Like, I can't stress this enough because I know what's going on. I know how to manage it. I know how to show up for myself. For example, one of the things you're not supposed to eat a lot when you have endometriosis is beef. I don't eat beef. I've cut it out of my diet, not completely, but I've cut it out of my diet, and it's been. I see the ways in which that has been serving me and privileging me and saving me from flares and saving me from uncomfort and saving me from uncomfortable, saving me from discomfort. That's the word I'm looking for. I've been talking for a while now. My brain is switching off. But yeah, so it's never easy hearing that you have a condition, but what's easier is finding ways to live with the condition and advocate for yourself and just show up for yourself in the most miraculous ways possible, because you can do that. You have the knowledge, you have the support system, you have the expertise, and like I said, I'm developing it. It's what I know now I didn't know 8 months ago, and what I will know 8 months ago is something that I don't even know now. So with constant research, conversations with my gynae, conversations with other women, I'm able to do this. I'm able to speak about this so openly. I feel so sad. I think those of you who've noticed my demeanor has shifted from the start of the video until now, because I think of the story and it's very emotional. Certain things, like I said, didn't have to happen, but they did. And I believe that everything happens for a reason, and it's okay. But this is something that I'm still also working through and processing. So please just bear with me. My sentences won't be coherent. My emotions might get the better of me in future videos, because this is a very personal thing to me. It's something that I'm living through, I'm living with. So as I'm being gentle with myself, please be gentle with me. And yeah, so this is the end of the video. Thank you for staying up until now. If you've stayed up until the end, you obviously like me and you obviously like this content. So please subscribe, please like, turn on the post notifications, because the channel has just started, I don't have a constant posting schedule. So when I post is when I post. And also, guys, I have endo, so I'm not always going to be physically fit to make a video and edit and post it. Some days, like I said, some days are harder than others, But yeah, so please join the family. I think you like it here because I do. And yeah, if there's something you'd like me to talk about in another video, please leave that in the comment section down below if you have any questions or anything. And yeah, so thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.